Hi there, I'm Kristen Levine, host of Pet Food Forum TV, and right now we are joined by Dr. Greg Aldrich. You're the Research Associate Professor and Coordinator of the Pet Food Program here at Kansas State University.
Yes, ma'am, here at K-State.
First of all, tell me how the industry has changed since you got into this field.
Oh my, that takes us back a little ways, but I was looking at some information a few days ago about the size of the industry, and I think since the time I started here, it's tripled anyway. The number of new products that come into the market every year has just exploded. I remember when I first got started in pet food, there might be 8 or 10 new products introduced, and now we're talking about 2,000 and 3,000 every year. And so it's just a really frenetic sort of environment, lots of new ideas, and lots of energy.
Tell me about some of the highlights at the workshop.
So this year's workshop is really focused on clean label. That's been a trend in the industry now for probably 15 years. If you start to look at things like movement from synthetic preservatives to natural, and things like grain-free, and there's a whole bunch of other additives and the such that the consumer has started to say that they don't really want to embrace. And so every one of the sponsors here at the Pet Food Forum or Innovation Workshop is really focused on things that they can do from a technology standpoint to clean up labels. It's not that they were dirty in the first place. It really is more about, is there a way to simplify the formula so it communicates better to the consumer and does not rely upon a lot of different chemical additives. We've been terribly successful in the pet food and the food industry in coming up with modern miracles of food chemistry to be able to solve some of our challenges, but the consumer hasn't really embraced that. And so this is a way for us to look at a number of new technologies that might fit into that clean label, everything from ingredients to packaging.
What's the biggest hurdle to achieving a clean or cleaner label?
Yeah, so the idea is to the consumer would be that we want to make it simple, but the challenge is simple is not easy. Because the consumer generally wants products that are extremely convenient. They like them to be fresh and wholesome and nutritionally complete. And the challenge is when we bring all of these different ingredients together into a pet food, sometimes when they're cooked, they interact with each other. And then the consumer would like to be able to have this in a shelf-stable package and to be available to them at any time of the year, no matter whether it was harvest or not, and to be stable through that whole period of time. And to do that takes a lot of effort to make sure that those molecules in there that we consider as nutrients don't decay, and that we don't get off aromas and off flavors, and that the product is as wholesome when it's consumed as when it was produced. That takes a lot of effort.
So shifting gears a little bit here, what can you tell us about the investigative findings thus far between the possible correlation between grain-free diets and canine I'm going to get this right.
Dilated cardiomyopathy. Yeah, so that's a big challenge in our industry. Not so much for the number of animals that are affected, and we certainly are sympathetic to those owners that have pets that are affected. It's really quite a puzzle because, in point of fact, there's a huge number of different things that are occurring there, both from a food and a nutritional standpoint, and maybe even a genetic factor that are involved with those animals that are affected by DCM. And so there's no profound discovery recently. I wish we could say that there has been, but in point of fact, we're just really kind of getting the ball rolling again in this academic research community to explore what could be the true cause and effect of that disease state.
So is it too soon to know what this means for grain-free going forward?
Yeah, so it probably is too soon. There have been a number of companies that produce a grain-free diet, and they have indicated to me in private conversations that their sales are a little softer, but still and yet I go to some of the trade shows, the retail trade shows, and we're still seeing a pretty substantial introduction of grain-free products. And so clearly the consumer hasn't shied away completely from those diets. I don't think it will stop the growth of that category, although it may be hitting a plateau anyway. Right. But it does give us an opportunity to look at some other ingredients. It may be partly not the grains or the legumes and potatoes that we're worried about. It may be the protein meals in those diets. And so we still have to unravel that whole picture.
Right. It's going to take a little time.
Yeah. Bottom line is I don't think it's going to change the view of the market in any time soon. it does create some opportunities for some new products to come in that might fill that gap in those soft spots.
We'll be back with more Pet Food Forum TV.